House of Representatives passes key electoral police reform bills. Reps push stronger funding for police. And House demands action over xenophobic attacks in South Africa. Hello and welcome to You and Your Reps, bringing you the key conversations and decisions from Nigeria's House of Representatives. I am Victor Azul. Thanks for joining us. The House of Representatives has passed key amendment bills on the Electoral Act and the Nigerian Police Trust Fund as the scaled third reading. It passed the 2026 budget of the Federal Capital Territory and its area councils. The House reconsidered and passed the National Identity Management Commission Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill of 2026.
Passed. The reports on the Electoral Act amendment bills for the provision of jurisdiction for pre-election matters to provide technology-driven modes for service of election petition and the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Repeal and Reenactment Bill, having been considered and approved at previous sittings, have now been read a third time.
A bill for an act to amend Electoral Act 2026 to provide for the jurisdiction of pre-election matters and for related matters, third reading. A bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2026 to provide for the flexible, reliable, and technology-driven mode for service of election petition process and for related matters. Third reading.
Read the third time and passed.
The House passed 2.2 trillion naira 2026 budget of the Federal Capital Territory and its area council as the report on the Niger Delta Development Commission on the 2026 budget of the NDDC of 1.7 trillion naira was approved.
1,741 billion is for capital project.
1,750 billion for Niger Delta Development Commission.
Representative Bukar Tarba raised concern over the need to resettle about 10,000 internally displaced persons of Marte taking refuge in Mongono local government area of Borno State.
Urge the Northeast Development Commission and and to provide them with 10,000 tents for the returning IDPs and also empower women and youth returning to Marte local government.
The factions continued on the floor, with Omar Ajilo moving from PDP to ADC, Mohammed El Rufai, APC to ADC, Suleiman Richifa, PDP to ADC, Abdul Hakim Kamilu Ado, ADC to NDC, Joshua Obika, APC to NDC, and Esosa Iyawe from APC to NDC.
The House of Representatives, meanwhile, has approved the report of its Committee on Police Affairs on the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2026, a parliamentary intervention to strengthen policing in Nigeria. The bill seeks to enhance the 2019 Act by prioritizing better funding, modern training, and improved welfare of officers of the Nigerian police.
Wednesday's sitting of the House of Representatives reconvened into an almost empty chamber where rows of empty seats told a story of a slow start. But that did not deter legislative business. A major intervention on national security came through the consideration of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2026, which proposes 1% from the previous 0.5% funding from the Federation account.
The principal one has just been repealed and then reenacting it to give it more vigor, more strength, and a way of revitalizing this very police trust fund.
To provide funds for training, security equipment, machinery, and improve the general welfare of the Nigerian police.
Concerns over mobile communication services in Nigeria once again dominated discussions on the floor. Through a motion from Usman Jaha, legislators turned attention to the persistent challenge of dropped calls, weak network coverage, and the rising cost of mobile communication services.
The telecoms companies must take urgent steps to improve on the following. 1. Invest in modern infrastructure and technology. 2. expanding network coverage, especially in rural areas. 3, improving customer service system. Then finally, ensuring fair pricing that reflects service quality.
The extent to which these service providers have interfaced with our security agencies to support them in tracking down the locations of bandits and other criminals.
Network operators, because if you look at their balance sheet, they are making a whole lot of billions in profit, and I think they are satisfied with what they have already without improving on the network.
In resolving this need, the analysis should include the opinion of the regulator, the regulated, and the served.
Representative Mohammed Jejere drew the attention of members on the need for the Federal Road Safety Corps to strengthen enforcement of speed limits and public awareness in Damagun, Fune local government area of Yobe State.
Number 4, call on the Federal Ministry of Works to conduct a comprehensive safety audit of the road with a view to implementing lasting solutions to prevent further accidents.
And fresh concerns have been raised in the House of Representatives over renewed xenophobic attacks on Nigerians in South Africa. Lawmakers called for urgent diplomatic engagement to address the situation, while also urging the federal government to evacuate affected Nigerians and consider sanctions against South African business interests in the country.
First plenary of the month with the familiar pleasantries. But beneath the compliment lies a troubling national issue: the rising wave of xenophobic violence against Nigerians in South Africa. A motion of urgent public importance from Donald Ojogo condemned in strong terms the recent attacks, including the killing of 2 Nigerians.
Worried that the lives of 2 Nigerians, Ekpenyong Andrew and Amara Miro Emmanuel, were taken in separate incidents linked to rising anti-foreigner tensions in the country.
Will be to mandate the Committee on Foreign Affairs, Cooperation and Integration in Africa to interface with the South African Parliament.
Parliamentary diplomacy, like we have used in the time past, engaging the members of our colleague members in their parliaments to see how to solve the problem between these 2 allies.
Representative Joshua Ghana urged the federal government and national state government to rebuild damaged infrastructures in Mokwa rainstorm disaster. The managing director, Bank of Agriculture, briefed the House on the proposed agri-hub and how it will enhance constituency-level participation and development. He informed the House that each member of the House of Representatives will be entitled to 3 tractors at a subsidized rate.
We will take this tractor in your constituency, we'll create a hub around it, put security there, employ these 12 people to provide these services: irrigation service, mechanization service, also input services.
They want you to spend less to get tractors to increase their farming. This is what this is all about.
President Bola Tinubu informed the House that he declined assent to the National Identity Management Commission Establishment Amendment Act 2026 over structural defects. The House passed 479.5 billion naira 2026 budget of the Nigerian Communications Commission. Party realignment continued on the floor as 18 members switched parties. 17 of them moved from ADC to NDC, while 1 member defected from ADC to APC.
You and your reps also caught up with the member representing Ughelli North, Ughelli South, Udu Federal Constituency of Delta State, Francis Waive, on the Electoral Act 2026 and what it means for Nigeria's evolving electoral process.
Electoral Act 2026 is an interesting piece of legislation. One of the first impact it had is that INEC had to reverse its timetable. We are doing primaries now in May, which usually should take place in September, August, September, thereabout. The general elections would normally take place late February into early March. Now it's going to take place late January, early February, because one of the things the Electoral Act 2026 they did was to reduce the number of days that INEC has to provide the timetable from 360, I think, to 300. That's one impact. Another impact it has is that it has given some legal teeth to the devices, electronic devices that are being used for the electoral process. You recall that the courts had always said that those devices are not known to law. The only thing that some Nigerians were expecting was electronic voting. The 2026 Act did not and could not have provided for electronic voting. Electronic voting is when you vote real time. As you put in your finger, it shows in the computer of INEC that one more vote, two more votes, and you see it, the figures just changing. We have not reached that stage in our country. That was not even considered. But the majority of Nigerians thought that was what was considered. What was considered, particularly by the House of Representatives, was electronic transmission of results from the polling unit. And what we eventually decided, which is now part of the Act, is to remove the word real-time transmission, because it will result in a litany of litigation. I'll give you an example. Today I've done 4 or 5 transfers. There's somebody still sending me a message that he has not got his alert yet, but I've got my alert. And I'm telling him I've transferred the money, but he's still bothering. The others have sent me their thank you messages. Now, if it were the Beavers machine that did that transmission and the law says real time, there's already a court case because the thing did not transmit real time. The election closed at 2 p.m. on Saturday and the alert came by 10 p.m. on Saturday or maybe 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. That's just the reasoning why we removed the word real time. Otherwise, electronic transmission of result is there. And then we added that there should be a backup. That is, in case it fails completely, the from EC what? That document, that unit result, the hard copy is a backup. That's all we did. And I think it's good for the country. And I think the judiciary applauds what we have done, but because it will reduce the number of litigation. These are some of the areas, but there are many others. And I will encourage the Nigerian public to read, to study what has been done. It's in the interest of our public, of the public. It's also in the interest of the electionary process. Because if you look at it, I'll give you an example. In 2019, when I won the election to the House of Representatives in 2019, just me alone, I had 18 court cases. In my 2023 election to the House of Representatives, just me alone, I had 6 cases. In this 2027, I'm praying to have 0 cases. But it's that thing that guides the drafting of the law, so that litigants will not see every loophole to come up with every little thing to go to court. I must be truthful. What the law says about spending, whether in 2010 Act or in 2022 Act or in 2026 Act, are not justiciable. They are not things that you can prove and take to court and get anybody convicted, or because at the end of the day, we are still very much a cash-based economy. And we are making progress. People are beginning to do transfers, online banking, but we're not there yet. So all those laws, to prove them in court, it will be very challenging. But the law is there, reduced cost, and I think we should be guided by that. And our people should also learn to reduce the pressure on public office holders. It will, to my mind, help to reduce corruption. this is what to expect every electoral cycle. I recall that in 2023, June, when we're going to elect our current speaker, when the rules of the House were brought out, some people who were old members were a bit surprised. But if you were regular at plenary in the 9th Assembly, you will know that about this time in the 9th Assembly, there was this change that says that you will, personally, verbally, publicly identify your candidate of choice, But when people saw it in 2023 in June, it was like, wow, when. So I'm glad that the one of the Senate that is happening now, going forward to 2027, is attracting attention. So that by the time it starts happening in 2027 June, people will not say that it was smuggled in. But these are the things that happen in politics. If you know that you are sure of winning and coming back to the Senate or the House, and you aim at being the Speaker or whatever, or the Senate President, you must look for a way to protect your territory, to narrow the competition. Politics, after all, is who gets what, when, and how. How includes making sure the House rules favor you. So during the last year of that session of the Assembly, that last session, there's always, in every Assembly, the attempt to tamper with the rules. The important thing is that it must be done on the floor of the House. It must be done during plenary, in committee of the whole. Clause by clause must be discussed. Whether some people were present or not is not an issue. What is the issue is that it must be done properly on the floor. Once it is done, it becomes the standing orders of the House or of the Senate, as the case may be. One thing about the standing orders of Parliament all over the world, and I think Section 60 of the Constitution, gives us that power, is it 66, to regulate our proceedings and procedures by ourselves at any time. It doesn't say you must do it once a year or twice a year or thrice a year. This current assembly, we have in the House of Representatives, for instance, we have amended our rules. First, because the number of our committees increased. Different from the one we did just when we came. We have to accommodate the new committees and define their jurisdiction in the rules. So we have done that. And between now and when this assembly will come to an end, there might be another need to tamper with it again. So we have done it, so to speak, twice, when we first came and then recently. And we might touch it again in the next 1 year, who knows? But because we have the powers constitutionally to do that. It's just that it should be done right. And we will do it right. We always do it right.
Now, in legislative language, are break and recess the same thing? Not quite. Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Francis Waive, explains the difference.
There's only one recess in every session. Now, a session is a year, a legislative year. And in Nigeria, there are 4 sessions in every assembly. An assembly, for instance, we are in the 10th assembly, currently in the National Assembly. So our first year in office, June 13th, 2023 to June 12, 2024 is our first session. And then the same period again, second session. Now, as we speak, we are beginning to get to the end of the third session. Now, when the session ends, you now go on a recess. And that usually is August, the whole of August, and most of the time the whole of September. Sometimes begins late July, all the way. And it's not just legislators around the world. First, not just legislators in Nigeria, but all over the world. That is why you find that during such times, legislative unions like the Interparliamentary Union, West African Parliamentary Union, African Parliament, they have engagements, meetings at that time because the parliaments are not sitting. And it's not just parliamentarians that have these recesses. The judiciary also has it almost about the same time. So that is the official recess. But when there is Christmas break or there is Salah break, it's not the same thing as recess. It's like public holidays that are only extended, particularly when two things are joined. For instance, today we have gone on a break today because primaries will be holding in most of the political parties based on the INEC timetable. And immediately after the primary, Salah is coming. So we are going to be on that break. It is not a recess per se. So during this period, some committees could also be functioning because it's a break for these activities, as different from the annual recess that takes place once in a year in August and September.
And that's you and your reps for this week. Thanks for watching. I am Victor Azu. Join us again.